Hi everyone, this is Matthew from Noteful.com and welcome back to another week of our YouTube channel reviewing the work that you submit on our forum. So if this is your first time visiting our YouTube channel or watching these videos, each Wednesday we start reviewing a student's work for the TOEFL speaking or the TOEFL writing section. So if you would like to know more about that, where to submit, how to do so, and potentially get your work reviewed here on YouTube, please wait till the end of the video. We're going to tell you all about our Noteful forum and how to continue moving forward with your studies with Noteful, the forum, and continually coming back here to YouTube. So this week we're going to be looking at a TOEFL writing essay from a particular student that answered our question from last week. So let's get started, look at the question, and what we're going to be doing today is something a little bit different. You're going to be seeing two master instructors from Noteful reviewing this student's particular work. It's a little bit different this week, so it may not happen all the time, but once in a while we may switch it up a little bit and surprise you. So we're first going to start with our Noteful instructor, Lauren, and then you're going to hear myself, Matthew, reviewing the student's work as well, reviewing different components and points that the student needs to improve upon. So let's get started by looking at this week's question. All right, so this week's question is, do you think students should have a long break between school years, or should they go to school continuously throughout the year? Now, once you see these questions, I don't want you to panic. I want you to feel prepared. I want you to feel like you can answer it. Keep an open mind. You're going to maybe be surprised on the TOEFL with some of the questions, or maybe you won't. Either way, I want you to feel composed, relaxed, and start developing habits by brainstorming and outlining as soon as you see the question, and you'll know exactly what to do and how to go about writing the essay after you watch this video and after you watch previous videos, as well as looking at the rest of the videos on our channel. So what we're going to start with now is Lauren's review of a particular student's work, and then again, as I mentioned, we're going to switch back and go to what I thought were a couple of other components that we wanted to work on. So let's get started.
Okay, so here is the essay that we're going to take a look at this week. Right, we have two paragraphs, just our introduction and our body paragraph, and we're going to be focusing on three systematic errors. So the first error I'd like us to take a look at is actually one that is about plural versus singular nouns. Right, so there are a couple of places where you can see it, right? It occurs from the beginning all the way till the end. So that's how we know it's a systematic error. The first place we see it is in the first line where the student says, education is an important part of our life. Right, so this might be a typo, it could be, but to a computer rater, this is going to look like it is inaccurate, right? So we need lives. We see this occurring again a little bit later, but these errors might be a little bit different, but they do kind of fall under this umbrella of plural versus singular. Right, in the first sentence of the body paragraph, we see tend to forget things when they don't use it. Right, so our noun is things, and our pronoun that comes later is it. They don't match up, however. So we want to make sure that if things is plural, then the pronoun that follows should be as well. We see this again a little bit later, right? This words, right? It should be these words, right? We need that agreement. I wanted to backtrack just a little bit also, so you see the definition. Right? I'm highlighting this also because it should be the definitions. Right? He gave us 50 words, and so we need to memorize multiple definitions, many definitions. Right? So all of these issues are systematic. They are all connected with plural versus singular, and so that's why I've highlighted them here. So be sure to take a look at your work and see if you also have this issue as well. The next one that I wanted to focus on is actually a little bit different, and it's kind of on the border between vocabulary and grammar, right? It's a little bit hard to place this sort of issue, but what it means, or what I wanted to talk about here, is parts of speech, right? Is it a noun? Is it an adjective? Is it a verb? What needs to go where? So the first one I'm highlighting here is in the introduction paragraph, and it says, our parents to get more experience, to learn more knowledge, and preparation for a career. Now, this student maybe didn't make the mistake of using preparation as a verb on accident, but when we're creating a list, we're going to want to make sure that every single point in that list matches, right? So they all need to be verbs. It should say to get more experiences, to learn more knowledge, and to prepare for a career, right? Now, again, was I sure right away that this is a systematic error? No, but as I see and as I look forward, I do see this occurring again and again. Right, so in the first sentence of the body paragraph, the student writes, first to continuous in student study. And I think that what she means here is that it should be to continue in student study, right, as a verb, rather than an adjective. So we may want to fix this sentence a little bit more. It's a little bit incomplete, but what I want to emphasize is that we need a verb as opposed to an adjective. So moving forward, we also see this sort of repeated phrase of words list and 50 words list. Now I'm highlighting this because it's a really common error I see in a lot of students' work out there. Now, when students construct a phrase, remember that typically we're going to want to use an adjective to modify a noun, not a noun to modify a noun. Right? So that's actually what's occurring here. There are, of course, some exceptions in English, like backpack. Right? That's one that's pretty good. A lot of students will recognize some of these phrases, but if you're not sure, make sure that you don't use a noun to modify a noun. The correct way to phrase this would perhaps be to take a list of words, right? That would be the more appropriate way to structure that in English. At the ending, you'll see that, as you can see, to continuing, I think that what the student is trying to do here is create a gerund, right? So that should be a noun form, but they're sort of mixing it up with to. So this highlights that systematic issue, right? That's going to give you the complete thought and idea.
So here we have a pretty good essay, 4 paragraphs, and it's going to be about 336 words, which is something that we reviewed a couple of weeks ago with our other master instructor, Lauren. And she advised students to have a word count of about 500 words. So we want 500 words just to repeat what she had mentioned, to develop the topic enough to really express our thoughts, to express our ideas. At first, this is going to take you a while, and that's perfectly okay. It's going to take a little practice to do that. But don't worry, you're going to get the hang of it, and the more you practice, I promise, the better you're going to get. We just have to be patient, okay? So for this particular essay, it's going to be 336 words, which is below the 500 word count, obviously, but that doesn't mean it's going to be a bad essay. So let's take a look. We're going to look at the structure, 4 paragraphs, as I just mentioned. And now what I want to look at is the introduction. Very strong, has the basics, states the importance of the topic, why it's important, the 2 positions. Some people agree, some people disagree. It's fantastic. Then their position. So a really strong start. So we want to have a clear structure in the beginning and a clear idea. So the first thing you want to do, simplify your reason. Make it simple, subject, verb, object. Do not make it sophisticated. There's no reason for that. We have plenty of time to develop our topic and ideas with a higher word count. So we don't need a higher word count in our reason, right? We don't want to look for little ways to boost our word count. We want it to be smooth and effective and clear and linking together easily, smoothly, so the TOEFL grader can just go right through our essay with no questions asked. So what we want to focus on here is now connecting the idea. So if we don't go to school, we forget things. Perfect. So what are we talking about down here when we see that the list contains the words that we speak every day, okay? But I was busy at the moment. What does that mean? And then it says in the next line that I didn't pay attention. Most of the time I was working. So what we see here is a foundation. These are like stepping stones. They're not necessarily linking together. There's one stone, a gap, and another stone. We don't want it to do that. We want it to be closer together and linked together. So when you see these sentences here, going from your reason, going to the importance of that reason, then we're going to transition into your example. The best way to find out how we can increase our word count is by doing exactly this, focusing on filling in those gaps. The teacher gave us a list. Okay, you went to, 3 years ago, this student was studying at a community college. Great, good background information. Add the background information at that point about the job and about working. So we want to say that, was this student just studying a language? Were they there to get a degree? Was it there for a different purpose? We want to add that background information as well so it's clear. What kind of job? Was this job 30, 40 hours a week, 20 hours a week? Was it part-time or full-time? We don't know. How does this link together when we don't continuously study? Then you want to build that foundation and say, I'm continuously busy at work and do not have time to study at school, and I had to take a break from school. If that's the case, this is just an example to give you an idea about how we would illustrate this. And you want to build upon that. Now, what I do want to look at next is the third paragraph, the second example. This example is okay, but it's not necessarily linking to the question. And this is what's going to result in a fair score. The reason here is that second, to help students, parents out in taking care of their children. So what does that have to do with our question? Well, we're not sure yet, and that's okay. So the position here is students should go to school continuously. Why? Because they can help parents out in taking care of their children. Great. Now, they're talking about this by setting it up by saying that the student went to university, but it says that they were working as a babysitter for one family in University City in Philadelphia. Okay, that's okay. But is the student actually going to school in Philadelphia? We don't know. We're just being told that they work as a babysitter there. Then the student transitions into summertime. They didn't have to go to school. The children didn't have to go to school rather, and the parents had to work. So they were able to help the children. But in order to connect it with our answer, what is the one key thing we want to do here? We want to take this example, keep the foundation. We're not going to take it away. We're not going to delete it or change it. We can keep it. We just have to find that connection. The only way that I can think of at the moment that would enable us to really understand is that we're going to be going to school in university in Philadelphia during the summer. So this student is taking summer classes, which keeps them within the college town itself, which thereby makes it convenient for the family to hire that person, to hire that student. And they can go to school, and at the same time, it benefits everybody because they are continuously going to school. One last point. We want to focus on the middle part of this third paragraph, this second example, a very long run-on sentence. I took care of two children, a 6-year-old girl, a 10-year-old boy, and then the sentence goes on. We want to separate our ideas. One independent clause should have one idea. That's an easy, effective way of trying to express your fluency. We don't want to get sophisticated, right? We want to separate our ideas in between each independent clause to make it smoother and clearer, and that's going to enable us to get a higher score because it will have our ideas separated and the details more clearly outlined. So you really want to go back and adjust your sentence structure, make sure that it's grammatically correct, understand the question, link your ideas back to the actual question itself because that's what's going to help us to develop a strong essay. Now, 336 words is a start. Then we want to get to 400, then 450, and then potentially 500. If you can't get that far, don't worry. We want to get up to 450 or 475 if we can. So just remember those points because that's what we're going to need to focus on in order to get a high score. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching the reviews done by Lauren and myself. As you can see, this student's essay was fairly good, but what's going to bring down their score are three components: the systematic errors, subject-verb-object, and not connecting and brainstorming the ideas clearly or effectively enough to get a high word count, which in most cases would result in a high score. So for this particular essay, you will see a student like this get a 20 to 22. And I don't want the student to be alarmed or anybody else to think that this is a really low score or get discouraged if you do continuously get this score. I know going into the TOEFL it's a little bit hard, but we want to look at these components to boost our score. You want to be careful to break the habits that you have grammatically, go back to your essay, look at what we have, look for the subject-verb-object rules, the systematic errors that we're making, correct them, and that's the way we're going to break the habit. Go over the brainstorming points that we brought up in the last video as well as this video, and you want to be able to engage yourself, answer the questions, who, what, where, when, and why, and balance out the details between both examples in the actual essay that you're going to write. I think that you're all capable of doing it. I want you to feel like it's possible, and if you have any questions, just let us know. So now I'd like to transition and let you know exactly how to submit your work and how to come back and see more work done by other students in the future.
So thanks for sticking with me for this week's video. I hope it was helpful to you all. I hope that you learned something great today so that you all know how to go to your writing, start making some improvements, and really get higher scores on your next TOEFL test. If you have any questions about this video, of course, don't hesitate to write in and let us know. We'll be glad to answer any of your questions. And if you're interested in participating in next week's video, remember, each week we're going to be posting a task or two or several to our Noteful forums where we're going to be asking our students like you to submit your work, and each week we're going to be pulling one of your great examples of work and we're going to be featuring it here in our Wednesday review video. So be sure to click the link below if you're not aware of our Noteful forum and check in every Wednesday to see what the next task will be, and I hope that you enjoy it.